So I decided to do a YouTube video on the experience that I have had dealing with rattlesnake bite and a natural antivenom. I had done the live video on Facebook, and my internet connection, as it tends to be, was cutting out, and so some of the words I said got kind of fuzzed out and parts skipped. So for those of you who had shown interest in wanting information for friends or yourselves, if you live around rattlesnakes, I thought this would be a much better way to do it. So I hope this is helpful. So Wednesday evening, it's now Saturday, Wednesday evening, we saw Ruger out in the yard, and she was holding up her leg, and we hadn't been outside most of the evening, so we don't know when it happened. It could have been, my guess is for a while, for how swollen her leg was already. That was about 8 in the evening, and so I saw her leg was swollen and knew probably she got bit by a snake. And so as I was looking her over on her front paw, right above her dew claw, she had 2 very definite holes and oozing out of one of them and a little bit of blood. So we brought her in, and I started giving her stuff that I had prepared. So I'll go into that a little bit more, why I had prepared and what we used and whatnot. But it was at the days following, or like even right away, Wednesday evening, there was a definite improvement. When we brought her in, she was having a hard time walking, and she didn't really want to move. I tried to pick her up, and she did not want picked up. You could tell it hurt very much. I was just trying to put an arm under her chest and then one behind her back legs and pick her up. She did not want picked up. So she hobbled into the bathroom, and then I started administering stuff to her, and by like 11 that night, there was noticeable improvement. She was feeling better. So it does start helping pretty quickly. And so the basics of what I used. The first thing was, hopefully this will be more clear than it was on the live. Let's see here. So that is activated charcoal, and it's just in a powder form. I bought that online from the bulk herb store, and it absorbs toxins really well. It draws them into itself and traps them so that the body can't digest it, and then that just gets flushed out through their system. So that was the first thing I gave her right away. And then, let's see, next I gave her some tincture internally. So this is from Standard Process, so you can't just get it online. It's a very potent tincture, and I got it through my, oh, my mind's going blank, nutritionist, but natural doctors deal with those. And then the tincture, the poultice that I made was with bentonite clay. And I got this from the bulk herb store also. And then echinacea, it's ground up root. And this was online from Bulk Apothecary. So those are the specifics of what I used. And the poultice I changed a couple times throughout the day, and sometimes I would moisten it and add some of the tincture. I would kind of pull it away from her skin and add the tincture in right close to her skin and then put it back over. But keeping it wet and moist so that it could continue drying toxins out. So I'd do that a couple times throughout the day, and it's what I would do. I just made a paste, mixed water with that, made a paste, pretty wet, and then took some of our old rags. I got the rags wet and then wrung them out very tightly, and then put the mud on it, pasted it on an area, and then would wrap it around her leg and then tape the rag so it wouldn't fall off. The tincture, I've seen the information that I've studied out, and mostly that was for directions for people use, was anywhere from administering every half of an hour to 2 hours. So with her, I tried to do it, sometimes was consistently every half hour, and then other times was a bit more spread out through the nights. The first night I was going to get up and give it to her through the night, but she did not want to do it. She just wanted to sleep and be left alone, and so she would not even eat it. I'd mixed the tincture with different stuff that she likes, applesauce and chicken broth, and she just wouldn't eat it. So through the night we could see slight decline. The next morning, more just not wanting to do anything and less movement and stuff. But very clearly, as you administer it, it affects them a lot. So her foot was quite swollen, so much so toes were separated, and it kind of reminded me of just a really thick, I don't even know what kind of paw. The kids wanted to call it a bear paw, but it's not exactly that. So just a really thick, it widened her paw way out, swelling all the way up her arm. So that evening by 11, I think we could already see some slight swelling going down. And then the next day there was definitely noticeable improvement in the swelling you could see. So that was pretty quickly how it affected her. I am pondering, today she's been just very active and wanting to play and not wanting to lay down and rest as much and stuff, and so as she's rolling around and trying to chew on us and stuff, I noticed on her chest there's an area that's very red, and so I'm actually wondering if she got bit twice. On her leg, where it's swollen slightly now, and just this many days you can't see the bite marks anymore, and so I've tried to look on her chest and I can't see bite marks, but for the redness there I am wondering if she got bit twice. So I did try to apply a poultice on there yesterday. It was just because I did see swelling up under her armpit. I know there's glands, just like people have glands under our armpits and stuff, and that's where toxins often go. Your body's trying to get rid of them, and so I tried to put a poultice up under her armpit, and it was very hard to get it to stay there. So if I had known for sure if there was a bite, I would have really tried to work at that more, but it's getting better, so it wasn't a big concern. So a few things to do with, just to know some of the facts with rattlesnake bite, the poisons in that, and how it works. So there's cytotoxins, which basically initiates digestion. The poisons start destroying cells, especially in muscles. Cells are held together by hyaluronic acid. That one just, I can't get the hang of saying it. And so the venom of rattlesnakes and their cousins and hobo spiders contain an enzyme, which is pretty much that same word, hyaluronidace, that dissolves that acid in your cells. And so it's destroying your cells. It's essentially melting the tissue, melting the skin. Echinacea stimulates the body to produce more of the acid, so that what's being destroyed, it's regrowing so fast, and so it's amazing how it works. And it's very interesting for people even who have injuries, whether it's tissue, whether it's arthritis or cartilage or joint, that it can regrow those the acid that holds the cells together and stuff, and be a huge benefit for injuries like that. So it's very it acts quickly, but it doesn't stay in the body long. That's why a lot has to be applied regularly or given regularly, but you can't just like give a big dose and then nothing for a while. It has to be regularly. And so the same thing, like with an injury, you wouldn't want to just drink echinacea tea for months and months and months, because for one, that's not strong enough. It's probably not enough. And for two, it needs to be a lot regularly for shorter periods of time. Echinacea also stimulates the immune system, killing bacteria and reducing inflammation. So that's another big factor with venomous bites, is bacteria can get infections going on. So it's very good to have the antibacterial aspect of it and for it to stimulate their immune system. So the information that I had looked into is online. I'll try to keep, for people who want information right away, keep it connected, but there's information from a doctor who in the early 1900s was, he had gotten echinacea root from the natives, and they had told him how effective it was in treating poisonous bites, and so he started making tinctures and using it very effectively. People who would come with their entire arm black and it had been several days since they'd been bit, and very rapid recovery. And those types of stories. There's just numerous stories of snakes and spiders, and I think there's even scorpions, and so it was very effective. And so that's a lot of where I first learned some of this information. There's a bunch of other articles of other people using echinacea very effectively, people and animals, dogs and stuff. So one of the things that I started researching that I believe is really important for people to know is that snake bites, the antivenom that is in the hospital, I called ours because I wanted to specifically know, so I called our pharmacist at our hospital, local hospital, and asked what the preservative in the antivenom was, and it's mercury. So for those who are concerned with mercury and have seen the effects that it can have on people with heavy metal toxicity, leading towards autism and different things, I know there's a lot of debate there. There has been payout from the fund that goes to those with vaccine injuries for causing autism from that, and so that speaks quite highly to me. Everyone needs to make their own choices, but I like to have options and to help other people know what options are available also. So if you look up, I mean, there's different kinds of antivenom. I looked up the specific brand that our hospital carries, and it has some pretty big precautions as far as what you should be aware of also for side effects, which can be anaphylactic shock and all kinds of stuff. Some of that seemed about as bad as an actual snake bite could be. So be aware of the risks that you take with that also. With echinacea, there aren't those type of risks. So oh, and also there's a big cost difference. I asked the pharmacist the cost for getting just the antivenom, not including the stay and doctor expenses at a hospital, and she said the last person was about $60,000 just for the antivenom. So be aware that would be about $100,000 stay just for a snake bite. For pets, I believe the information I saw, taking them to a vet can be around $1,000 or so. So just to be aware of that is very helpful. The expenses with this, I mean, it's not cheap. It's not like going and getting $5 something. All of this combined, trying to think of expenses, might have been close to $200 for all of this, which I won't be using all of it on her anyways. But that's a drop in the bucket compared to other comparisons. So definitely thankful for that aspect and how effective it has been on her, and just getting to see, I believe that our Heavenly Father loves us so much, and He has given us everything that we need for the things that He knew naturally could happen. and He loves us and has provided for us very effectively. And when He provides things, it doesn't come with really bad side effects, because He's a very good and loving Father. So I'm thankful for His gifts of herbs and hope that this is helpful to those who wanted to learn more.